The sounds of chamber music will resonate through St. George's Church in the month of May. Montreal musicians Emmanuel Vukovic and Carissa Kloposhak will perform during the festival's 18th year.
It's a privilege to play in the Montreal Chamber Music Festival because it's something that's been around for a very long time.
There's something really special about the intimacy of chamber music concerts in the first place, and to have a whole festival organized around that concept is really special. Especially in Montreal, where there's such an amazing group of performers already.
Cellist Dennis Brott is among those amazing Montreal musicians who will perform. He founded the festival in the mid-1990s.
Chamber music is where there's one person per voice, where there's no conductor telling anybody what to do. It's a democratic art form where every person contributes to the success of the performance. And the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. So there's the dynamic of collaboration, of democratic exchange, which takes place on stage.
Brott says the audience will hear musicians whose talents are known throughout the world. Performers will come from all over Canada, the United States, and as far away as Europe and South America.
The people who come to play at the festival are chosen for their passion, for their commitment to the art and the art form. And the electricity, because of the format that we have adopted, which is to bring together world-renowned artists with the most promising of emerging artists, it creates an energy on stage that is palpable by the public.
Vukovic and Kloposhak are playing on borrowed instruments this year. Borrowed instruments worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. They and 14 other young Canadian artists at the festival are benefiting from the Musical Instrument Bank program, administered by the Canada Council for the Arts. Program administrators audition the musicians who compete to win the chance at playing an exceptionally fine stringed instrument for a 3-year period. Program officer Janet Rydell-Piggott says the chance to play a prestigious instrument adds to the prestige of the musician's career.
It helps raise their profiles, it opens the doors to them getting international engagements and sometimes recording contracts, and it really helps with their professional growth, and so it gives them an edge that perhaps they would not normally have.
Dennis Brott was instrumental in starting the Musical Instrument Bank and was its first beneficiary. The program relies on the generosity of its donors, who have allowed the Canada Council to amass a collection of instruments worth $36 million. Brott agrees the program helps the young musicians to compete on a global stage.
For example, if you're going to an international competition and your co-participants are playing on great instruments, well, you have nothing to be embarrassed about if you're playing on a Strad or Guarneri as well, which you might not otherwise have access to because, of course, these instruments cost millions of dollars. And so it creates the opportunity. It also gives them a sense of what it's like to play on this, so that when the time comes for them to select an instrument later in their life, they will understand the qualities of what makes a great instrument.
Vukovic is playing on the 1768 Miller Januarius Galliano violin, on loan from Toronto resident June Miller.
So an instrument like that becomes like a teacher. Everyone that has played on this instrument before me in the last 250 years, by playing it every day for many years, has left something of their own understanding or whatever they've learned on this instrument. And then when you play this instrument, it's like you're learning everything that everyone else has learned before you through this instrument. It becomes like a teacher.
I'm really pleased to be able to play this for the next 3 years and investigate the sounds that are possible on a really fine instrument. And I feel like I'm learning something new about playing the violin every day because of this instrument.
When these musicians have the use of these outstanding instruments, they draw out of the instruments this incredible music, and they share this worldwide.
The borrowed bow alone is worth $12,000. Kloppachak was lent the 1869 Jean-Baptiste Vuillaume violin.
It plays in a way that my own instrument doesn't quite do. And what that means for me as a musician is that I feel that every time I pull the bow across the strings, it's asking me to do it in a particular way. So what I'm learning is how to play the instrument. The instrument is teaching me how to play itself, rather than me forcing my hand on this instrument. So I'm learning a lot from that about sound production and how that can be done, because the instrument wants to respond in a particular way. And when I do these things, it really works. When I try what I'm used to, that doesn't really work. So in 3 years' time, I will be a much better violinist for it.
Many of the Musical Instrument Bank beneficiaries will play the music of Bach at St. George's Church.
Bach worked most of his life for the church. It's always nice to play Bach in a church.
Programs in May will allow the audience to learn about the pieces and interact with the performers, helping make chamber music accessible to 21st century listeners.
Often it's said, well, chamber music is for older people. You know, people come to it later in life when they have time and so on. Well, what we're really proud about is the fact that we have a young element to our audience. Almost 30% of our audience is under 30, which is fantastic as far as I'm concerned, and that augurs well for the future.
Spotlight segments are funded in part by the Glenn and Carol Pearsall Adirondack Foundation, dedicated to improving the quality of life for year-round residents of the Adirondack Park.